what is that really worth? Like, what is it? I mean, I'm like, like I'm super athletic. I just got out of the pool, right? Like I love this at 49. I feel better at 49. Hello, everyone. It's Kate with Wellness Pro Academy. Feels so good to say that. Oh my God. And I'm here with Sharon Rudy. We're doing a coaching gym, and Sharon's club is Return to Radiance. So, what can I help you with today?
Okay. So I'll start with what's working. A year ago, I launched my club. I had
Wait, pause before, because I want to listen in the right context. What's your desired end result for today's session? Like, what do you want to get out of it today?
confident in the close.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, now continue what's working.
Okay. So what is working is first coming into yoga health or WPA, yoga health coaching, especially yoga health coaching. I didn't think I could do any of this. And through Kaizen, through 1%, through all of the things in this past year, I have 3 entry points during the year. I have had 20 women this past year come in and get results, have fun. Women so it's all women, and ones who quote unquote graduated October entry, a few of them continued on. I have a continuity program now. So all of this has been fantastic. Totally changed my one-on-one intuitive readings, trying to fix everyone's problems in 1 hour. Which
Yeah, 'cause you came in, you're like a psychic, you're like at the psychic level, right? Psychic
Yeah,
readings
so Vedic astrology, tarot, cultivating intuition.
Right.
That's been my jam for a long time now. Yeah.
So super subtle, like awakening people into the subtler field of information and organization.
Yes. But
Okay,
without
great.
the habits, there is no access to that realm.
Right. Or there's no, right. They can't get there on their own then.
Yeah.
So then they see you for the hit and they get the hit. And so cool. Excellent. So when you look at, I mean, one of the things I look like, what brought you the most joy in leading your club? Like, what were the things you guys were doing together that you're like, I love that we're doing this together. I like how we're meeting and what we're doing.
I would say being able to, they always call it the Sharon magic, being able to weave the Sharon magic into the very practical, hands-on healing that we're doing.
Right.
And they are getting the results. That's what's phenomenal. And before, I always tried, it was ridiculous when I look back now, but nevertheless, I would try and say a 1 hour reading, an hour and a half reading to kind of solve everyone's problems. And that was, there was no way to do that. So now I look at my readings and I see them as more of just an entryway into, like, I just see the readings that I do now. It just feels almost like, oh, bonus. That's just to help see, would this person be a great member for my club? Let me invite them to a discovery session. Yeah.
That's the funnel, as they get a reading.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So now the question is there's things that they have to get to go from a reading to being a Return to Radiance member. That's what we're going to work on is that good?
Yes. I will say another thing that's working. Sales always super freaked me out. I've gotten really good at sales up through the close and the getting the money and it's like, I will agitate the issue. I never thought I could do this to get them to understand how big the problem is. I get amazing right up to there. And then there's this moment where I'm finding even the last enrollment, which I'm really taking responsibility for and looking at a couple, 2 women, even 3 women who are awesome fits for the program.
Yeah.
Didn't, and that's on me. And I want to know what to,
Oh, good. Great. Because they're probably going to be your next 3 members. So what happened? I mean, because you're already working at the psychic energetic level. What happens in you at that phase? What's going on?
I have, I think, a block around. It's like asking for the credit card number, getting I recently raised the price of my pass. And I know it's not about price, it's not about price. And intellectually, I believe that. But then there's something inside of me that says,
So let's take your price now and double it. So give me your price right now, your raised price. Just give it to me. I don't care.
all right, so there's two. So if payment in full would be $4,200 for the year.
Great. Now it's $8,500. So we're gonna deal with that price. Just because I want to, because I know the value's there. So I'm not gonna question the results, right? That the return on investment is in that is more, it's way more than that. If you're doing what I think you're doing with these women, which I'm sure you are. And so there's a number, and it's this number that like they don't have a context for, and your energy body for some reason doesn't have context for. I mean, now 4,200 seems pretty cheap. So what's happening in your body?
Awkwardness,
Where?
posing. Oh, it's like I just feel it right now in my lower ribs. I just got hot. I started sweating. Yeah.
Awesome. So your body's like totally tuned in to that there's some energy is going to move. Okay, great. And then are you the kind of person, if they say yes and they pay in full, like you do the happy dance, like there's a lot of energy that releases, like there's a lot of bubbling? Or what do you do if someone's like,
I'm trying to get better at that, because I realized like I let myself feel the no for many days. I've been feeling like, I go right into the gap. But when I have the gain of like, yay, someone, or like my kids are like, did that person register? And they're ready to celebrate. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on to the next person. And so I've been trying to pause and rewind. Like, I got to feel into their yes more.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, great. Great. So in the ribs, let's go with the lower ribs now, and just tell me that it's $8,500.
The investment for Return to Radiance is $8,500. $8,500. Yeah.
So this was what did I hear? Alex Hormozy. He's like my new favorite sales guy. He's not a sales guy, but he knows sales really well. And he's writing a book on sales right now. But he's like trying to get like, he was talking about like the gasp, like you like that like he's like trying to get like 50 really good gasps. Reframe, right?
Yeah.
I think what's also really important to know, people need to know that other people pay, and to normalize that.
I have been doing that. I've been doing, since you introduced Loom, I've been sending all these Loom love letters. And there's one person that nurturing, like she's talking to the women. I mean, we've done so many discovery sessions, so many, like over and over. And even when I sent her my latest Loom, I said, when women who have or who finished their year, who are continuing on, I said, and I was describing one of them who has similar issues to her. And I said, and we live in a decently wealthy area. I said, the women, they're not wealthy in the way we think of in Montclair, New Jersey. I said, these women aren't wealthy. They're just choosing to invest themselves in a different way than we've been taught. So I have started bringing that.
I think it's so important. I think to give a lot of examples, like I hired a coach. I was just thinking back to this because when I started working with Craig and Cindy Lou, I had a toddler. And like, if you looked at my P&L, like my family's profit and loss statement, right? And you're like, wow, she puts 20% of her revenue, her top line, into wisdom? Eating rice and beans, or whatever. Like, it's like, I was thinking about this morning, Sharon, when I was doing yoga. And I have my guy down, my physio down here, we make little videos for me to learn new exercises. And I have so much body awareness and I was thinking back to like, at 29, I put $12,000 into Ayurveda and yoga training. I was waiting tables. Like I didn't have dependents, but I wasn't earning much at all. And, living cheap, like really, really cheap. And I was totally like, I didn't want shit. I wanted wisdom. Right. And I think about I mean, I'm 49 now, and that investment was 22 years ago, where I was like going to yoga school for like 2 days a week, you know, 3, 4 hours a day. And it was exactly what I wanted to learn at the time. And I'm like, I am reaping so many rewards from that at 49. Like, thank gosh I didn't want a fucking car.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like or the Louis Vuitton bag, or the insurance, like whatever. Like I just wanted. And so I kind of wonder, the more, like, what we're doing right now in a way is we're normalizing. This conversation is normalizing exposure to conversations like this. We're using a free Facebook group. Other people will watch this. Some people might listen to it on the podcast, and we're normalizing that. Oh, this came up in the last, I think, YHC call. I learned this from Alex Hormozy too. I think I knew it, but I didn't know it like he knew it. He's like, poor people buy stuff. So they're going to buy $1,000 worth of supplements versus $1,000 worth of coaching. Wealthy people buy wisdom and coaching because it's going to get them to the experiences they want to have next faster. And they know that stuff is just stuff. Like they already have more stuff than they need, right? And they get that it's not in the stuff. It's not in the stuff. So there's something in there where your people are like, it's stuff. I should get stuff for my $4,200. And you're like, you don't want a storage unit. Like, you just told me you want to actually de-storage unit. Like, you want lean, you want light, you want clear, you want alive, you want vital, you want connected, you want intimate, you want deep, you want what we have going on in here. So before making the offer, I would go through, like, what is that really worth? Like, what is it? I mean, I'm like, like, I'm super athletic. I just got out of the pool, right? Like, I love this at 49. I feel better at 49.
Yeah.
Than 49.
Yeah.
Like, this is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's
Full
free.
agreement. Yeah.
Right now it's kind of free, but I'll still put tons of money into wisdom, into coaching, into the highest level environments I can be in, because why not? Like, what else are you going to do with your life and your money? I don't want stuff in a storage unit.
Yeah. Well, even that particular woman, her thing was, well, we're going to begin painting the house. I was like, okay. Right. And there's also this moment where, when objections come up, I'm not sure if I'm giving, is it a complaint or is it an objection? Like, that part, it's like the objections, the asking for the money, like those moments, I feel like I know I'm way too agreeable. I'm an Enneagram 2. I want that 8, right? But I'm not, but like, just look at how bold you are. And I'm like, I want candor. I want boldness. I want to fucking say it. And I just go like,
What if you I like how Tantra does this. It does the double negative. Like, you go super agreeable and you'd be like, and kind of with a little irony. Like, I totally agree that the house getting a second coat of paint is way more important than all the things you just told me.
that's good.
And then you just, like, I think there's also the uncomfortable pause. It's kind of like this. What if you just practice agreeing with irony and the uncomfortable pause? So if we look at, like, you and I can have fun day, like, we can just hang out and enjoy each other for the next 12 minutes, because, like, those are the only things you really need to do to practice your sales skills. It's just like, totally agree with whatever nonsense. Because the reality is, they can afford the house paint and the transformation. They can. If they're living in Montclair, New Jersey, and if it were life and death and their cancer treatment cost $50,000, they would find the fucking money. But instead, they'll get cancer. And they may have to live through that. But again, conversational exposure, that's what we're doing right now. Conversational exposure, where they're like, oh, other people decide to not get the cancer. Huh. And that's more fun. Interesting. Your club is fun too, huh? I get to develop my psychic abilities. That sounds like what I would love to do in my parenting and my at my job, I'd love to actually access my psychic abilities at work. Um, it sounds like you're trying to pull them in. Instead, it should be like, it's a club and everyone's investing $8,500 to get in the club. So that's normal. And it's not normal before. For a lot of people, they've never spent money like this before. Like they've never had an experience like this before. And it was actually costing them more to not be in the club because all these behaviors that come from not being integrated in body and integrated in routine and buying stuff you don't actually need or really want. And then you have like more stuff, and now you got to deal with more stuff, more mail, more junk in your life. You don't have the time and the space for them. Well, the number one thing everyone has in common in this club is they all invested $8,500. Like they all decided that this was the club worth belonging to because they wanted access. What is it called? The Sharon factor, the Sharon magic.
Oh, the Sharon magic, they call it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they all get access to the Sharon magic, like literally whenever they need it. And they get to relax into that. And then they develop for themselves that own, say the name's Jennifer magic. And then they realize it's always within them. And they're like, yeah, it takes a year. It takes a year. And that's why the club's a year, the investment's a year, but the return on the investment, and then I would go back to my story of like, I made that investment. I spent like $12,000 when I was 29, somewhere in there. And now I'm 49 and like, thank you for doing exactly what you want. Now, do you want to be in the club? And I would just pause there, like, do you want? Money was an issue. Do you want to be in the club? Help them feel what desire feels. And then if they're still stuck, it's like, usually they've been trained to delay their gratification. So everything has to be right before they can enjoy this. And then I would go right to like, where'd you learn that? Like, who made you wait? Was it your mom? Because she had 2 other kids. I was sandwiched. There were 2 other kids. Everyone's needs came before mine. Like, I didn't know I just knew my needs were not going to get that. Fend for yourself. Got it. Right? But like delayed gratification is a very deep pattern. So it's like, when would it actually be the right time? Like, let's say the house is painted. Isn't something else? Isn't the kids' college tuition going to come up? Isn't putting the parents into the nursing home going to, like, when's it your turn? The embodied feminine powers. It's like, you just say, I'm taking my turn now. Everything else will just rearrange around me. I'm going to take my turn. That's the empowered feminine. Like, I want this. It speaks through the language of desire. I want this. So it must be my turn because I want it. And I'm sure we can afford some house paint. Maybe I wanted enough to figure out how to paint my own house or partner with painters or what, you know what I mean? Like, if that is just logistic.
Yeah.
The house paint's an excuse because they haven't decided what they want. They haven't decided how to respond to their own wants. They're still responding in an old pattern. It's not their deciding pattern. It's someone told me if I really wanted, I'd have to wait. This is your marketing. Everything I gave you it's all the sort of conversational normalization. That's all marketing. Then in sales, you point back to those conversations they should have heard in marketing. Whether you use YouTube for that, whether you send, like we're doing now, like YouTube, and then emails to the YouTube videos where they're hearing me talk about, they're normalizing their conversation. Or like you and I are doing it in an interview style. This is normalizing it. Like, oh yeah, women have issues with delayed gratification, at least for the last 2,000 years, at least since the Christian era. The Oracle of Delphi. Everyone's heard of that chick. It was a position. So there's a number of them. It was a position that was filled. This is so psychic, right? So ancient Greece, you got like the Romans, the Egyptians, the Grecians, right? And what they figure out, there's like this, trying to figure out the chemistry behind it. It was something like a place where the earth was emitting a fume and people would go into an altered state of consciousness around this. So they built a little, first a hut and then like a little temple. And then the priestess, they'd use the feminine because of the sensitivity of the feminine, the female apparatus, human apparatus. And they would ask this person would fast and do practices, rituals to prepare to be the mouthpiece of the divine, share and magic, mouthpiece of consciousness. And people would come and ask the oracle questions, and the oracle was just totally in the universal consciousness, not at all in an individuated consciousness. And she would just speak, and they would create public policy from that. Do we go to war? This guy seems like a crook. What should we do about the sewage? Like, how do we create public policy? So like, our whole point with this is like we've been doing these things forever. Like what you're doing with your sharing magic, people want it. And they don't want it in 2 years because the opportunity is now. If they want it now, the opportunity is now for them to actually experience these subtler states of consciousness and to do it together and to have habits that are sustainable for the kind of futures they want to experience. But the only people that get in the club are the ones who put up the money. And if they weren't, the club wouldn't work. It's magic. It wouldn't be as potent. Not everybody could be a priestess at Delphi. It was a special club. Okay, so we've got the power of the pause, delayed gratification, the just speaking this stuff that's kind of interesting to your people and like normalizing that poor people buy stuff, wealthy people invest in clubs and wisdom and masterminds. If you want to be wealthier, act like wealthier people, stop buying stuff, stop buying house paint. I think the house doesn't need to be painted, but maybe right now, like if you've got your own needs met, you change the house color. Like there's something, you might even sell the house. Mm-hmm. Something else might even, we don't even know. And then the gasp, like letting like, oh, wow. So you're used to, if you hear the gasp, it's like, oh, so you're used to investing in stuff, not wisdom. I mean, it's not really it's kind of judgy, but it's kind of not too, because it's like, let me help you. Because the more wisdom you have, usually the less stuff you want or need. Like, I like it when my refrigerator is expansive, like when it's not just jammed. Like, I like opening and being like, there's my juice, there's my celery, there's all the things I want. It's pretty because it's not cluttered. The more stuff is more clutter. More wisdom, you get more space and more time, more flow. Okay, the other thing I'm going to say is, are going to ask is, are you and your prospect, like just pick one of the three that hasn't signed up yet. It's going to be the next people to sign up. They have a crystal clear vision of what winning looks like when they graduate from the club in a year. Like smell it, taste it, paint it, color it, draw an identity evolution image of it.
Yes, but I would say a few discovery sessions ago. So I feel like that has started. It seems this like lag that like, yeah.
Hey, you got to make that real. So it's reread The Velveteen Rabbit until you have it memorized. Right? They got to make that real to invest in it. Because the car's real. The house paint real. Go buy it, heavy, painter, puts it on, changes the color, everyone notices. You painted your house. Real. So you got to make that real. And then you got to have them put a price tag on it. Like, I didn't look like this when I was 40. I had a roll of fat around my abdomen, truth be told. Not a spare tire. And I mean, it's not the look of it, you guys, at all. It's the integration that I'm just after the integration, right? Like, what's the price tag? Well, the funny thing is the more integrated you are, the more money you can make, the less you're worried about money anyway. Like, these things just happen through the magic, right? Okay, but they need to make it real. They need to make it real to you. So you both know exactly what this is going to look like, smell like, taste like, everything. And then they've got to put a price tag on what that's worth. Like they're buying a car to put in their storage unit. They already have a car that works good
You
enough.
ask that question about how much what is it worth to you, dollars, before you reveal.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
But even if you haven't and you need to go back because they already know the price, that's fine too. It's both fine.
Okay.
But they need to put, and the better you'll get at it, you won't make an offer until you understand the context for it. Because if they're like, oh, it's worth $200 to me, it's going to like totally change my life. It's like, huh? And how much did you spend on that family cruise? Or whatever dumb shit they're doing. Maybe they bought a Volvo instead of a Ford. Like, you know what I mean? That's all status and image, and does it make them feel better? Kind of, maybe, but not in their body. We talked about it on Body Thrive today because we got deep into the cow dung conversation, and I was like, you know what's funny? It's like I could really probably buy any skin cream on the market from now until the day I die, and like I'm using cow dung because it's more probiotic than anything else. I mean, and that's the weird thing about wisdom is like wisdom, there's so much money in wisdom. So if they want a truly abundant experience in their life, like you're not going to get there by buying more stuff. You're not going to get there by supersizing your meal. Even like my husband and I, like our date night, like we could go to any fancy restaurant, but when we really get into we were doing that a little bit for status at one point. We're like, oh, we should do this. But then I was like, no, what we really like to do is like get a 6-pack of beer, go mountain bike, and drink beer in the parking lot. And if our friends come, we can share a beer with them. So it's like $10 date night. Like that's our idea. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what gets us off. Go bike in the woods with the leaves changing colors.
Yeah.
And then if someone's back out of alignment, someone knows how to put it back in. Like, because we have body wisdom. Like my daughter comes back from soccer games, the gym, and all the things. She's like, put me back into alignment. So if I didn't have the body wisdom, we'd have to go to a chiropractor. We'd have to go outsource this stuff. And that's what you're helping them do is insource. Put a price on what's it like to be your own intuitive, your own clairvoyant. Okay, what are your takeaways?
That uncomfortable pause, which it was hovering in the back of my mind, but you've really brought that to, because I'll just talk away I'll just be nervous and just oversell, overdo all that. Like
okay, pause on that. When you feel the uncomfortable pause, I want you to feel it right in those lower ribs and just relax. You don't even have to breathe into it. You don't have to do anything. Just allow. And that'll be your thing. Like, oh, I get to focus on my ribs for a minute. Okay, go on.
Even that was uncomfortable. So this is a big growing edge. Yes.
It has to be visceral because you're responding to some old pattern. So whose pattern was it around money? Your mom's or your dad's or both? Or
probably both.
Why did they have it? Depression era?
Yeah, I would say it's probably more on my dad's side. Irish, Catholic, poor, firefighter, police officer, like that whole immigrant, like that whole thing happening. Growing up in the Bronx, we didn't have it. You have to eat everything on your plate because that's what we have.
Yeah, it's linear. It's like going from linear to vertical. Super strong in logic, rationality, and all that. So it's like that lower plane operating system. Okay, but that's so funny because like you're an expert in the intuitive. So
yeah. Well, the first time I had my chart read, the astrologer said to me, you could be a first responder. I'm like, yeah, that's my whole family, but I chose something different. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's there. It's there.
So when you're, before the offer, after the offer, with all the people that should have been that should be in there and aren't in there, it's like, I want to give you a free session. There's this thing I'm actually trying to work out this thing for myself. So it'd be super helpful for me. If you want to explore this with me, because I'm like trying to figure out why, like how our own logic and rationality gets in our way of making actually better decisions for our future. Now, anyone who's like half thinking should be like, that sounds interesting. What do you mean by that? And I'll be like, well, we often make decisions where we have the car or the house or the stuff in the storage unit. And like we've been following the rational, logical way of using money and investing money and making money and all that. But it's not giving us what we really, really want, which is actually not to even have storage unit at all, or not to have the extra weight on our body, or not to have the feeling like there's stuff on our calendar that we don't actually really want to do that day. There might be a job or responsibilities with aging parents. I mean, it could be anything. That's like, it seems like we just have to do it. And at some point it feels like we're not even living our own magical life. Going back to magical. So I want to do this thing. It's this little exercise where we, instead of going rational, logical, we just go right into the vertical plane, the feminine from the masculine, horizontal. We just go right into the feminine and figure out what you really want, what it's actually really worth, and what can happen if it like did that. So if you want to do that, let's do a session on this. And then as you're doing it, money, what'll happen with money, so it's like, it doesn't matter if it's 4,200 or 8,400. It's like they either want to be in or they don't. And if they do, it's like, well, okay, now let's figure out where the money, like on this plane, not in the logical, rational plane, but in like the sort of the magical, spontaneously arriving universe plane, like where's that money going to come from? But what's even more important than that, because it'll come, is like, what'll happen if you do it? What is the return on investment? Like, what'll change? Like, let's figure out on this plane, like, what would change in your life if you're with us in the club? And now you're intuiting, you're your own clairvoyant, your habits are aligned, you're not buying dumb shit anymore to put in the storage unit. You're just like living your own magical life. What opportunities, and so then it goes to opportunity, change your thinking, change your opportunity, change your results. We're starting to change our thinking. What are the opportunities? If you already are what you want. Because this is the thing, as a clairvoyant, like, you know, people can experience the outcome that they'll have a year from now. They can experience that in their energy body right now in the present moment.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
So play that card all day long. Play that card through the numbers. So you're in the vertical. Play all that through. Then it's going to be like, oh my God, $42 is such a fucking bargain. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that, because I've touched upon, I always do the sort of little like visualization while we're in it of like, see your golden self, like look at, like, we close our eyes and I'll talk them through like the qualities that you brought up that you want, like see her, put all of that into her. And when they come out of that, and sometimes women have a hard time like, I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know. Even sometimes like,
the logical, rational get in the way.
Yes. But when it happens, so that you've just lit up something in me of like, great, let's do that more.
Yeah, just make it part of your sales thing. Be very upfront. I'm very upfront with like, I know people don't invest smart in the futures they want to experience. And they end up in the sick care model, and it's expensive to their quality of life, their quality of day-to-day experience. And I know that there's like this life here is heaven on earth. Like when you tap into the magic of the human physiology, magic of deep, intimate relationships that are at the level of people at living their purpose in real time, raising their kids, having their jobs, their businesses, running their lives. So like there's this whole other thing going on. And we all see people that are tapped into that, and we might feel like we're on the outside of that. So I'm going to show you how they think and feel and make decisions. If you want to play. And then, bring the numbers right into that experience, into the vertical experience. So they can start to see that the numbers are also flexible, illusory, chameleon. Yeah. Have fun with it. Let's go. Fun. You can't lose. There's already people not getting in who should be getting in. So like, there's nothing to lose. Yeah. There's already all these skills that you have. No, I just rearranged the order. So when we hang up, like rearrange the order of the sequence of things so that you're following a recipe, then test the recipe on the 3 that didn't come in. Test the recipe on the next 3 that are new leads. For all the ones who didn't come in, be like, oh my gosh, my club is getting such amazing results. But I know you are interested, but do you have a friend that's looking to like, and whatever their core issues are, it'll
Yeah.
trigger the heck out of them in like the best possible way. They might actually realize like, oh shoot, no, I do want to be.
So good. Yeah.
You might need to do an altered state of consciousness thing to do some of these actions. So you might not be able to be the fireman. You might need to be this like Sharon the psychic who's just playing,
Mm.
just in the Leela, just like playing in this version of reality. So that you're less attached to the outcome. You're less attached to their emotional catharsis in the process, but you're super interested in it because it's really fascinating.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
This
I
was
love
so
that.
much fun. I was nervous before. I'm like, why am I nervous? This was so much fun.
It's so fun.
Told my mastermind group for like 2 months, I'm going to schedule with Kate. I'm going to schedule. And every week I didn't schedule with Kate. Finally, I'm like, fucking did it. So,
Well done. Yeah, let me know how it goes. Have fun doing it. They're going to comment on the forum and stuff. So we'll pay attention to that on the Wisdom and Wellness Forum on Facebook. And that'll be fascinating. You guys who are watching on the forum, just write in the chat like what it is that you need to do in your next conversation. Let me say one thing about things like delayed gratification and the uncomfortable pause. You don't have to do that just in sales conversations. Like you can do the uncomfortable pause all the time. You can notice delayed gratification people 20 times a day. Most people are doing. Most women are doing. A lot of men are too, right? Because they have to work and 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 then retire. So like there's it's everywhere. And then it gets really easy to do in sales conversations because you're always already doing
great.
it. All right. See you around. See you in the club.
Perfect.
See you in the clubhouse.
Thank you so much, Kate.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.